Well, now we've talked about the history of hot rod racing. Let's examine the dragster of today. You might recall one of the names we mentioned was that of Wally Parks. Well, Wally today is president of the National Hot Rod Association, and he's here now talking with Chuck Griffith about this fine rail job. Wally, come over and chat with us. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Dick. Glad to be here.
Wally, we've talked about the history of this sport. Is there anything you'd like to add at this point?
Well, I'd just like to add that I think it's not only the noisiest sport in existence, but certainly the fastest growing one.
I understand that Detroit has taken a close look at the young men that have come up through the ranks and have styled these machines and made improvements that all of us are taking advantage of right now.
Well, Detroit has been active as far as watching the sport for a long time, but today we find that an awful lot of the people have graduated from the hot rod ranks into the automotive industries, and we find also that many of the manufacturers are taking active part in producing equipment that runs awful good.
Wally, in the evolution of the sport, this is one of the things that has developed. The rail job, it's the fastest of the machines, is it not?
Yeah, it's kind of like the quarter horse is in the automobile or in the horse world. It's been developed for the purpose of going as fast as possible in a quarter of a mile.
Wally, I know since the formation of the National Association, you've emphasized safety. I'd like perhaps at this time for you to point out to the people what are the safety features in this machine?
Well, this one, most of the safety is built around the driver's cockpit. We start out with the roll bar on the top, which has been a standard requirement in hot rodding since the early 40s. This one encases the driver's head, which is in a helmet, and you'll notice that the thing is padded. We have a requirement that states that the cockpit has to be properly padded for insulation for the driver. Down inside, we've got shoulder straps, seat belt on a quick release basis there to hold the driver firmly in the seat. Now, most of this is in here to protect him in case he gets on a rough course, more than capsizing, because we seldom have accidents, I'm happy to say. We have a parachute release ring down in the bottom that the driver uses and pulls just as soon as he completes his quarter-mile run, and this pops the parachute out the back, which unfolds and brings him to a stop. In addition to that, of course, he has his brake here that he uses for additional stopping, and very fine disc brakes mounted on the rear wheels.
So he is well protected indeed.
Yes, he is.
Wally, I'm amazed at how simple the controls are on these machines.
Well, the driver's pretty busy in there, running for about 7.5 seconds. Actually, it's as basic as you can get. You've got a clutch pedal on the left, which he releases. You've got a fuel pedal on the right that he presses down, and a steering wheel that he holds on to. Actually, there are no gears to shift in the thing. This is a handbrake for stopping in addition to the parachute. And then, of course, he has the switch kill button and the parachute release in there, and that's all. He doesn't have any instruments to read that he pays attention to, because in that 7.5 seconds, he's a pretty busy man.
Wally, let's move from the cockpit to the engine. This is the baby that makes the money for the driver. Tell us a little bit about the engineering of this machine.
Well, the engine basically on this one is a Chrysler, which is one of the very popular engines in modern drag racing. Sitting on top of the engine here is what we call a blower, which is a GMC supercharger, such as is used on trucks and excavation diesel equipment. On top of that is what we call the bug catcher generally. It's actually the air induction valves here. This one happens to be a Hilburn.
How about these tubes down here?
Now, those are the Zoomy. That's a new style of exhaust that's been developed, and it kicks the exhaust up, which gives some downward thrust on the car. Also helps clear the smoke from the tires away from the driver. And then when we get on the back, well, this is the good old mag that provides the ignition on many of these cars. And over here is the fuel shut-off valve that the driver uses when he completes his run to shut the fuel off from the engine.
Wally, I noticed the tires do not have tread. Isn't that unusual?
Well, it looks unusual, but actually this type of tire has been developed purely for drag racing, and the purpose is to get just as much rubber on the asphalt as you can for traction. You'll notice the little holes in here. These are simply inspection holes so they can tell how deep the tread is. But basically, this type of tire with its soft rubber compound is the thing that gets them off the line and puts them through the quarter mile as fast as they go.
And these long pieces of metal here, undoubtedly, that's where the machine gets its name, the rail job.
Well, originally those pieces of metal were Model T frame rails, and they have developed into the fine tubing construction we have now, but that's where it got the rail name.
And up front, the wheels all appear like bicycle wheels.
Well, they appear to be bicycle or motorcycle wheels, and they, again, have been specially developed here with wider and stronger hubs and spokes in the things. They carry very little weight. Most of the weight is on the back of the car, and they simply serve to steer the thing with a light touch by the driver.
Well, Wally, very interesting. You've pointed out the safety features, the engineering features of this rail job. Let's go out to the track and see them in action.
All right, let's try.